Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Leadership Live series for Percepta. I am your host, Rachel Moore, and sitting across microphones from me today is our brand new Vice President of Sales, Todd Somerville. I have had the pleasure, Todd, of talking to you a few times since you joined Percepta very recently, but I get to introduce you now to our audience of Leadership Live. Todd, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Of course. And Todd, you are, tell us, you are just a couple weeks into your time at Percepta. First impression so far, just wanted to get right off the cuff.
Overwhelmed.
Which is any new person, right? We're like, there's so much to learn.
Yeah, I keep telling everybody I want to cut the water wings off, but there's quite a bit of onboarding and a lot of people to meet and a lot to get to know. So it's been pretty exciting. I feel pretty good going into week 3.
Well, wow, you're practically a veteran going into week 3. But no, and I have to say to y'all, I know you're just meeting Todd if you're watching the show or listening to it, but Todd is super proactive. I know anytime I've interacted with him, he is hitting the ground, taking tons of notes, right? And just ready to go. And so VP of Sales, I know a little bit about you, Todd, and I'm going to learn more, as will our audience, by the end of this show. You have described yourself as a car guy. In quotations, that's what I'm picturing it, car guy. But talk to us about what makes you a car guy. Let us know a little bit about your history there as a car guy.
Well, it's a passion of mine. My best friend's dad was a small town Ford dealer outside Northwest Ohio, Toledo. And, I was rolling cars on and off of showroom floors and restoring old Mustangs and doing that with my buddy from in high school. So, as soon as I got out of college, I went right back into dealerships. And that kind of drove my parents crazy because why do you need a college degree to sell cars and F&I? And I'm like, well, actually, it's great practical sales experience. And I've been involved in the car business at automotive retail ever since. So it's what I know. It's what I love. I live in Detroit, about 5 miles from the GM proving grounds. It's just a fantastic car environment here. A lot of classic vehicles on the roads on the weekends. A beautiful weekend like we had last. You'll see one classic sports car after another go down the road. It's just what I know and love and what I've always done.
I can relate a little bit. I'm married to a car guy. He was a mechanic for Volkswagen for many years, and now he's a bike mechanic. But do you do the thing where like talk cars to people who may not be car people, and do they glaze over at all? I do that with my husband. But do you know a lot about cars, and that's what you talk about the most?
No, I try really hard. If I know someone's a little bit of a neophyte when it comes to the car side of the thing, I try to explain why it's a passion, and it's exciting. I mean, it's not unusual for us to be out to dinner or a craft brewery or something, and you'll be sitting next to somebody, strike up a conversation, and you'll know right away if they're a car person or not. It's like recently I sat next to an engineer who's been involved in the development of the Z06 Corvette trim, and kind of geeky guy, but driving one of the fastest Corvettes ever built, and just talking to him about how that car came together and the development that went into it, and some of the wrecks that occurred out on the track, and wow. You'll know right away. If it's not about the cars, it's about something else. But yeah, car people kind of gravitate towards each other.
I bet. Yeah. So that is what I've noticed as well. For any of you who might be watching this too, live on LinkedIn or YouTube or listening, if you're a car guy or a car person, shout out in the comments. Let's hear from you, because we want to hear if you are indeed a car person. Now I want to ask you a little bit too, because so you are coming on as the Vice President of Sales. I know and I know you're going to enlighten a little bit more about this, but what I know of your role is that you're here to really ensure that Percepta's customer experience, the specialties that we do for clients of ours, for their customers, you're trying to bring that to businesses out there who need it. I'd love to learn a little bit about your vision for that. What is your vision for bringing CX from Percepta into the businesses out there who are truly looking for that as a solution for their business?
Well, I'll go back to the car guy question first, because it kind of applies. I mean, if I'm sitting at an airport or on a plane and someone asks me what I do, I say, my life mission is to make it easier to own and service a car. And I'll never finish. So, it's something that it's one of the more expensive. I think it's the second most expensive purchase most people make, second to their homes. They keep getting more and more expensive. The obvious, I think the last stat I saw is $48,000 is now a typical price for a new car, pretty close to $30,000 for a used car. And people have high expectations. And it's a very technical piece of equipment now. There's a lot involved in it. It still needs to be serviced, even if it's an EV. And it's a never-ending mission to make it easier for a person to really enjoy the car experience, even if they're not really car people. They need a good, solid piece of transportation. They need to enjoy the experience of acquiring the vehicle and then getting it serviced. And I think at Percepta we have a unique position. We're a big company. We're global. We have great people, and we have great automotive people that work on lots of different things for customers and ultimately for achieving that mission. So I think it's a perfect fit. I'm right where I need to be to actually influence CX for the car business. And it's what I've been doing really pretty much my whole career.
Well, we're glad your career brought you here to Percepta to continue doing that. And, I work in communications and in marketing and stuff, and we certainly want to help amplify this. Partly why we're doing this video right now, right? Because we want to let people know not only is Percepta here and poised with their customer experience solutions, exceptional ones, I might add, but also that you are here to help bridge that, to say, hey, how do I get started with Percepta? And Todd, I'm even going to take the liberty of putting your email up on the screen, because I want to make sure people know how to get a hold of you for that very purpose. But I also want to ask you this too, and might be from a little bit more from a thought leadership perspective. As a sales and business development leader, what do you think are the most important things to focus on for a business that wants to grow their revenue, especially in today's economic climate?
Well, it's been an interesting couple of years. As I've already alluded to, vehicles have gotten more and more expensive. There's a lot of content in them, and there's a lot of technology in them, and it's all being designed to hopefully make the experience of owning that vehicle more connected and more pleasurable for the actual owner. But what it has done is it's also introduced a lot of complexity. So you need to be much closer to your customers today than ever, because the vehicles are designed to enhance the customer experience overall, but also offer up some opportunities to fail. So it still takes an interaction with a human being, and customers need to know how to get those vehicles serviced. They need to know how to get their questions answered. They need to know how to get the vehicle serviced if it fails or it's starting to show opportunity to be serviced. And there's a lot of touch points involved in that whole life cycle. When you go to get a vehicle and you're taking delivery of a vehicle, you're just so dang excited to get a new vehicle that you probably only hear about half of the orientation about how to use the features on it. And it's especially you start looking at the infotainment systems and the navigation systems. These engineers and these content folks at the OEMs are putting tons of energy into providing that, and then the customers don't even know how to use it.
Right.
So it's super important that that whole life cycle of use of a vehicle, the average vehicle on the road now is almost 12 years old. They're going to have them a long time.
Yeah.
So the one thing you want to do is make sure that entire journey for the customer is solid, so they'll come back and buy another one from you, or buy another vehicle for the garage based on their experience with the current vehicle they have, and that's what I think Percepta offers
Yeah.
in terms of being able to reinforce all of that through well over 100 different projects that we work with to enhance customer experience and make sure that the customer's getting what they need and the OEMs are getting what they need to support those customers.
I love you. You just really resonated with me just now too, from a personal anecdote. So my husband is the lucky owner of a Ford Bronco, and I think he's had that since I think April, and he's still finding new things in it where it's like, oh, I didn't know it did this, or I didn't know this was a capability. And but you're so right, because he has the resources at his fingertips to teach him about what that new feature he just discovered means while he's off-roading and stuff like that, or while he's moving the top or anything like that. So it really does, like what you just described makes a ton of sense, because you are talking a very complex piece of machinery and a big investment for customers. And it's so helpful when you get to know, oh, I am making full use and utility of this thing I just bought that I'm very excited about. So super
Yeah.
important.
The Bronco is a great example of that. There's so much embedded capability in that vehicle.
Yeah.
And it's not an SUV, and it has a lot of off-road capability and crawling capabilities and all of the stuff on the dash that helps you understand what the vehicle's trying to do. And if you're an off-roader, that's great. If you're just getting into it because you love the lifestyle, it's a whole other conversation, right? So and it can scare somebody if it's not done right. So I think the Bronco is a great example of a lifestyle vehicle that needs to be supported properly through a lot of information and interaction with the customer.
Yes, sir. Well, let's ask you about this. I know we talked about kind of making businesses aware and bringing Percepta's customer experience solutions and all that entails to businesses out there. I want to give you an opportunity, like if we've got a business owner out there watching right now, or a business leader, a decision maker who knows they've got some pain points in their customer solutions. What would you say to them? What is so special about Percepta that you want them to know right now as you're speaking to them as our audience?
Well, I've got a kind of a biased view because I've been working with Percepta for a long time as a partner. I was actually involved in some projects they did early on for Ford. And what I saw right away was a true people-oriented perspective in terms of good people, happy people doing great work. And then I saw a company that had no issue with taking a very complex problem and chunking it out in a way that they could solve for it and make it repeatable in terms of solving for it. So they're a company that's just very quietly in the background been doing great work for a long time. And they have a mobility automotive focus, which makes them experts in what they do. Now, that being said, they're also fantastic BPO outsourcing type specialists as well. There's a global focus from them, so they can basically take what we do here in North America, or what they're doing in UK, what they're doing in Australia, we can repeat it. And what I've seen now, as just the short time I've been with the company, is a singular customer and really employee focus, which is very refreshing from a cultural perspective. But they're very unique in that perspective. They're big in the fact that they have a lot of reach. They have great employee culture, and they have a lot of ability to solve for very complex problems in the customer lifecycle of vehicles. So they have a very unique niche, and they do it well.
Well, thank you. Right, business leaders, you decision makers out there, you heard it here. Not only does Todd is our VP of sales, newly joining Percepta, but also has experience just working with us. I mean, he's impressed all around, right? Todd, it's a 360 impressiveness by Percepta.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this was an easy decision to join. It feels very comfortable.
Nice. Well, that's what we want to hear. What else we want to hear? We want to do some get to know you questions. Let people kind of learn a little bit more beyond the car guy, right? Or more to you. So first things up, this is a very important question. What is your go-to breakfast of choice?
I'm pretty light breakfast eater, so I'll grab a piece of grapefruit or a piece of fruit, depending what time of the year it is, and of course some coffee. Gotta have some coffee. I do my own beans and
Ooh.
grind that coffee up. Not a Starbucks guy. I like making my own coffee, but a cup of coffee, shots of coffee in the morning to get things rolling and start the day. I mean, if it's I know I'm not going to get lunch, I'll throw some oatmeal in that too.
Very good. Yeah, and for those of you watching or listening, please feel free to leave in the comments. You're like, "Well, I've got my own breakfast to share." Obviously, we want to hear everything y'all think too, because there might be some commonalities here. All right, next, very important question: what is your favorite mobile phone app that is not work related?
Waze, of course. I mean, we move around a lot, and I don't know how much time Waze has saved me over the years. Now it's
Yeah.
taken me on some real boondoggles too, but uh, I pay for Waze and I don't have to, so it's great. I absolutely believe in it, and it's really just about saving time. I mean, everybody talks
Mhm.
about you know, being able to know where the police are for speeding, all that. I don't drive all that fast, so it's really just about getting where I'm going, and especially Southeast Michigan right now. I think every way in and out of the state right now is under construction, and it's orange barrels everywhere. So just knowing that I'm going to take a little more time, or I could take a different route. Absolutely, Waze is I live and die by Waze.
Do you have a specific person's voice or that you're using on Waze?
I tried Elvis for a while, and unfortunately, Elvis didn't give a lot of really detailed directions, and he also mumbles a lot. So
Oh,
I went back to the native. I think it's Israeli is the source of the
nice.
language. But yeah, so it's I've tried a few of those, but yeah, just and I don't like being squawked at, so I turn the radio head down a little bit so she can't yell at me. Because
Yeah.
sometimes I may just ignore what she's telling me and go into the disaster anyway in traffic jam.
Right.
Yeah.
I did use Waze for a little bit. I liked James May's voice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But now I use Google Maps and I just call her Debbie. No, thanks, Debbie. Okay, Debbie, I got it. I know I'm turning on this very long road that you just recited all four names of the road to me. But yeah, Debbie
Thank you so
keeps me.
much for that.
Thanks, Debbie. And finally, we're talking about all this stuff around customer experience, customer support. Do you happen to have a great story about an awesome customer service you experienced yourself?
Yeah, and I'm going to take a swerve on you. It's outside of the car business.
Ooh.
Yeah, Joe and I just had the opportunity this spring to finally make up a trip that we had planned before COVID, and we are not high maintenance people. I am not a Ritz Carlton person. I just want to go someplace and be comfortable. So we took a trip to 7 Mile Beach on Grand Cayman that we had planned for 3 years, and we had never been to this place, but it's a kind of a timeshare type situation for people that own condominiums, 3 stories tall. Um, we looked at the place that had been remodeled recently, nothing real fancy, but what made it amazing were the people.
Mm.
The From the moment we checked in, big fruit basket. We've been on a plane all morning, and of course trying to get down there from Detroit, and then the groundskeeping people and the housekeeping people. The groundskeeper was one of these guys you could hear him laugh from a mile away. They're having a lot of seaweed coming in off the ocean, and he was out there whistling, picking up seaweed in the morning, and cracking coconuts for kids, and just this fantastic laugh and happy, just happy.
Mm.
So, and the housekeeping folks were the same way. I mean, just always there to delight us, and we're not intrusive, and it's just a wonderful experience. So much so that we'd like to maybe go somewhere else to see something else, but it's been so long since we've done a lot of travel that we might just go back there again. So we've been talking about that. We were talking about that over the weekend, but yeah, it wasn't the cheapest place on the beach. It wasn't the most expensive place on the beach, but it was just a really nice, comfortable place. And it was because they had some really happy employees there that were there and were really just generally happy to do what they were doing to make the people that stayed at the place comfortable.
Awesome story. I think we can all relate. There are times when you need to go do something or enjoy something, and the people involved with helping you enjoy that can just skyrocket delight, the delight factor you just talked about. So really awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And of course, we're delighted, talking about the delight factor. You've been a delight as a guest, and
Yeah.
really appreciate you taking the time to join us on this Leadership Live by Percepta. Todd, I'm going to post it again on the screen, but what's the best way to get in contact with you for those business leaders out there who are like, I like what you're talking about, and we need that for our company?
It's definitely that email address, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks for posting it again.
Of course, no problem. And thank you all for watching. Again, Todd, I know you're super active on social media, especially LinkedIn. So everybody needs to go connect with you on LinkedIn as well. I have a feeling you'll be posting this on your own LinkedIn because you're that good. So appreciate it. That's right.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. And join us next time for another episode of Leadership Live by Percepta. Bye, everyone.